Initial thoughts of the CBA kind of talk about the possibility of going to 17 games.
Yeah, Josh, listen, at the end of the day, those things will get settled and rectified at a much higher pay grade than I have. So once those decisions are made, I'll evaluate it more once I know what we're looking at for the season. But between now and then, I don't usually spend my time too much on those areas. Just bigger fish to fry right now. So.
Balancing question I asked Brandon about the reduction in the player meetings you get here. You lost 15 slots. I know it's really a big deal for those personnel guys, but from the coaching side of it, does that kind of hurt you guys a little bit?
Yes and no. I mean, overall, yes, but our scouts do such a great job of collecting information during the season and during our season, and then we were able to go to the Senior Bowl and get some information down there as well from an interview standpoint with some of the players. So I think the bandwidth of our work offers a good foundation for us, regardless of what we're able to get out here.
Balancing between reaction and overreaction, how much of what happened in that playoff loss to Houston has guided your thought process through this offseason as you've reflected on what happened or didn't happen in that game?
Yeah, Vic, I think that's a natural question and a fair question. I've been around enough playoff appearances and wins and losses on both sides or coming up short in the Super Bowl to know that you have to be aware of what happened and overall why. But again, overall, this will be a new season. We've got to flush last year, take what we felt like worked as we continue to move forward and build. But at the same time, this will be a new football team in 2020. And so it's going to be an exciting season, an exciting off season. I'm excited about the direction of our organization and where we're headed. And we've got a lot of great people back in Orchard Park. And, we've got a good group of young core players to build from and a good locker room. And that's taken years to get there. And so this is an exciting time to be a Buffalo Bill. And I'm excited for the season, but we've got free agency and we've got the draft, which is why we're here, and a lot of days and weeks between now and then.
Sean, is the perceived need for a wide receiver as big as just the need for offensive playmakers in general?
Give me that again.
I said, is the perceived need for a wide receiver as big as a need for offensive playmakers, period?
Yeah, I think, the game changes in so many ways, and so whether you're adding a wide receiver or protecting your quarterback, I think it's important, right, that we continue to add pieces on the offensive side of the board, and adding playmakers is important. But if you have playmakers and no one to protect the quarterback, that doesn't work either. We've all seen that. So going about it in a responsible way, trying to do both would be ideal.
Sean, the Lorenzo Alexander position, he did a lot of things. Is the priority there to get a pass rushing defensive end or the linebacker piece of that? I mean, he did a little bit of all of it. For your scheme, what do you think you have to do there to replace that spot?
Yeah, I mean, similar to Kyle, it's. I made a comment earlier. I'm 0 for 3 in terms of forcing guys into retirement, I guess. You got Kyle and Eric Wood. I thought I was 0 for 2, but I guess I'm 0 for 3 with Eric. That was brought to my attention, although that was forced due to medical reasons. But and now with Lorenzo, I don't think you ever replace those guys, in particular from a leadership standpoint. To your point on the field in terms of the skill set, Lorenzo was such a unique player because of the skill set. He could play linebacker, dropping into coverage. He could rush the passer. He was a big force for us on special teams. Sometimes that takes more than one player to fill that. And then when you add the leadership component on top of that, that's hard to find out there.
And what are your thoughts as it applies to the leadership part? How do you envision that being filled, as difficult as you said it is?
Well, we look at the guys that we have from a leadership standpoint, the Lee Smiths of the world, the Micah Hydes. You look at when you look at Josh and Tremaine and their growth and development, they're going to need to to take on some of that ownership and responsibility as well. And so, but that's what their development, part of what their development in the time that we've spent with them and their maturation, that's part of the next step for them. And so and they're ready for it, and they've got the respect of their teammates, and they've earned that. So it'll come from a lot of different areas as it usually does.
The better your team gets, the more money can become a factor. But your job's to coach and evaluate. So how do you handle that, and you and Brandon work together when it becomes evaluating player, but also understanding, they may get paid more, they may go somewhere else. How do you two sort that out?
Well, I think first and foremost, when you win, when you have success, people start to look at your team, and the teams that aren't winning, very few guys sometimes are able to go other places or leave from those teams. Having been around a couple of Super Bowls, sometimes that happens. And so we take that with an amount of respect for what we're doing and how we're doing it, but also, money does come in. And so we've got to make sure that the pieces of the pie get proportioned the right way in terms of building the team that we're going to have this season. And so Brandon does a really good job with that. His staff as well, in terms of making sure we find players, if we're not able to retain, that we can find players that we feel like can help fill the void.
Do you feel like, with Jerry being past 30, Trent getting there, you might lose Shaq. Is edge rusher something you really need to concentrate on in this offseason period?
Well, Shaq's a good football player. Jordan's a good football player. We've got some guys that are free agents up front. We do believe in building it up front, as you guys know, on both sides of the ball. So that's a position that we're always going to look twice at to make sure that we've got what we feel like is enough to win.
Is the XFL a viable option to find guys to maybe fill out the bottom part of rosters?
Absolutely. We look everywhere to help improve our football team, improve the competition, make us better, whether it's the XFL or any league for that matter, or just looking again with free agency or other players that have been released from other teams. As you guys know, we've looked at a couple of those as well, and that's in an effort to improve our football team. And that's, again, to me, being responsible and doing our due diligence to broaden our scope of what's out there to improve our football team.
You took a look at Greg Olson, or tried to sign him, but tight end in general, Dawson had a problem with drops. As you assess the position, what's your level of, satisfaction, for sake of a better term, with what you have and how much better it needs to get from here?
Well, I'm very confident in the group of players we have at that position. I think it's one of our deeper positions. When you look at Lee, let's start with Lee and the veteran leadership and what Lee brings to us in terms of the toughness, and then the year that Dawson had, and then you say, okay, Tyler, Tyler he worked through a lot of adversity last season, even going into last season to begin with, and what he was able to do late in the year for us, in particular the game he had against Pittsburgh, which helped us clinch the playoff berth, and so and then Tommy Sweeney, a young player, and a couple other guys in there. So I'm very confident in that position group, and I think as you talk about some of the areas where we struggled last year at that position, Vic, I think youth factored into some of that, and so I'm excited to see these guys come back to Buffalo, a couple of them whom have been there already and ready to work and put in time to improve and get better.
How critical do you think it is to pair Devin with another veteran running back like he had this past year, like Frank?
Yeah, Devin, I thought, had a really good first season, and as we know in this league, these backs take a lot of pounding, and so you need 2 to 3 guys to help take some of the wear and tear off of in this case Devin, or also share the role in terms of different skill sets and what they can bring to the table. Devin certainly has a skill set that, as we saw in year 1, translates to the NFL at a high level, and now we're looking forward to seeing what he can do in year 2. It's a critical offseason for him, and then what we can add. We do have TJ in there as well, and a couple other pieces that are in there. It's just a matter of what we want to do and how we want to continue to build.
We know how much you like having that veteran presence, leader in the room. Could TJ fill that role, or do you feel it needs another guy that's more seasoned?
Well, we've got a lot of confidence in TJ. It was a struggle last year a little bit, It's just from a standpoint of him getting a jersey on game day. The games that he did and the games that he played, he contributed at a high level. From a leadership standpoint, when you look at that Tennessee game on the road, his run in there was really one of the runs that got us kind of sparked in terms of going on the drive to go win it. And so what I love about TJ also is the way he just handled himself throughout the season, where he wasn't playing every week, and the way he handled himself as a team player, helping on scout team. And so I thought that spoke volumes about who he is.
Depending on how the draft goes and maybe free agency, could that dictate where Cody Ford ends up along the offensive line a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. Josh, yeah. I mean, Cody's position flexibility was very apparent in year one. There was a learning curve there as well, just adjusting to the NFL, but being able to play two positions throughout preseason and then also in the season at times, I thought really spoke for who Cody is and his versatility. And now, we'll see how things fall into place through this process with both free agency and the draft, and then we'll go from there.
Are you leaning in any particular direction? I'm sorry, tackle or guard in your mind? How do you see Cody position-wise right as we speak?
Yeah, I mean, I think I don't want to say he's going to be this position or that position because, again, of the flexibility. We're going to put it together like we do every season. And the great part about it, whether it's Cody or John, Ty, they've got some flexibility with not only playing right or left side, but also guard, tackle. Some guys are guard and center flex, like Jeremy flexed last year, Jeremy Bates, and then when you look at Spencer, what he was able to do. So I think that's all good for us.
Sean, I know you don't want to pigeonhole yourself in saying Cody is a guard or a tackle, but that's a pretty big domino in the sense of how you plan the offseason. So how does that impact your offseason planning, kind of determining where he is best?
I think, we know we have a feel for where he is best, but at the same time, he has a history of playing both, really. So we don't want to pigeonhole ourselves. It wouldn't be smart strategically to do that right now, Jay, with where we are, where Cody is, and his development. It wouldn't be a smart move for us as an organization right now to say, well, he's just this, because he's a lot more than that potentially.
Like Cody, Dion has played both, but at this stage of his career, do you view him strictly as a left tackle?
Well, he's been there really for the better part of 3 years for us. So although he has played along the offensive line as well, to your point, I think Dion's in a pretty good spot right now. Had a nice season last year and thought really had his best season as a Buffalo Bill as a pro. So we're looking forward to seeing what he's doing this offseason and waiting for him to build upon that this year.
How do you feel about the state of the offensive line in general after going back?
Yeah, I was encouraged by the progress and improvement from my year two to year three, what I saw this past season with runway in front of us, though. And I think the best part about it, Matt, is those guys know that, and they'd be the first to tell you that. I think Josh felt a difference. Our quarterbacks that did play in both of those years felt a difference. Just the overall, really, DNA of the room, the toughness brought on by those players, by Bobby Johnson, our offensive line coaches, I thought, and then led also by Brian. I thought it was just a good step in the right direction. Does that mean we're there yet? No, but we're definitely trending in the right direction.
A few receivers that we've talked to this morning have talked about Josh Allen, watching the Houston game and what they took away from that. When you're having the conversations with some of these guys, what are they telling you about Josh and their impressions of him?
Well, I think it's pretty clear when you watch Josh on TV, whether you know him personally or not, what type of competitor he is. And at the end of the day, that's whether you play defense or you play offense or you're a specialist, that's what all these players want. They want a good guy to be a teammate alongside of, and a guy that when the ball's kicked off, that is highly competitive. And Josh has that fire, and that's not every quarterback has that. And so that's why we thought early on in the process with Josh that he fit Buffalo so well because of that.
Coach, as free agency approaches and the draft is right around the corner, how do you make the defense stronger, build up the offense, and how do those conversations go about with Brandon?
Yeah, that's we've got really good dialogue, Maddie, with Brandon and his staff, and not just myself and Brandon, but my staff and his staff collectively. And that's not always the case between the coaching staff and the personnel staff in this case. And the part I love is, I think people think that it's easy to build a team and everything, but we got to start with with our guys and making sure we get as many of our guys back from this past season and then build from it. But I'm excited about, like I said, where we're going. I'm excited about how we're going to get there, and I think the expectation around our building is very clear for what we expect and the standard of performance that we expect from ourselves.
Sean, when you look at this wide receiver class, there's a lot of guys, a lot of different skill sets. Ideally, given what you've already got, what are you looking for in this class if you take one of these kids?
In a wide receiver?
A wide receiver.
Well, let's start with a guy that can catch the football. I think people look past that sometimes, right? I mean, speed, people get enamored with speed and the things that, stand out or will be talked about here in a couple of days when these young men run the 40. That's great, but at the end of the day, you got to be able to play the position. And one of the key elements for playing the wide receiver position is being able to catch the football on a consistent basis. That trust with the quarterback, or that develops because of that and being able to catch the football, that's important. And so I think I would just say overall play speed and also the ability to be a consistent weapon for us in the passing game. And the only way you're going to be a consistent weapon is if you're able to catch the football.
Sean, you were a finalist for Coach of the Year this year. What does recognition like that mean to you?
Yeah, I think it's great recognition for our team more than anything. It's great that guys on our football team can be recognized for Pro Bowl, All-Pro. I just take that as a team award or team recognition more than anything. But it's even Lorenzo, who was recognized up for Man of the Year. I think those honors and that recognition for Buffalo and our city mean a lot. And taking myself out of it, I'm extremely proud of those young men and not only what they've done, but how they've been able to do it.